7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Alright. Welcome to the 10th. By the way, we're in the double digits now in episodes of Amateur Hour. So, welcome to the 10th episode of Amateur Hour. I am the president of some sort of flag football league there about in southeast Texas, and here with me is my vice president, Troy Maddox. By the way, my name is Cody Cords.
I'm right here.
There's Troy. Alright, so Troy, last week we had the First Responders Tournament where Beaumont Police Department, Orange Fire Department, and the Refinery Terminal Fire Company all competed for the prize of a signed poster and some shirts. So, it was amateurish non-professionals playing flag football, which is even more amateurish and non-professional than normal. So, what's your take on the games?
Well, I thought the games were fun. They were pretty, highly contested, like they always are. There's always, good plays, bad plays on both sides of the ball, and it was fun to have those guys out to play on the out at the Lumberton High School. They've got that new field turf stadium out there, so it was fun to have those guys come out there and have a nice field. It's not all muddy, and but the games were fun. The RTFC looked really good. They're really athletic. They had some good guys on their team, and just pulled away in their games to win the championship.
Yeah, Michael Jacob Peavy called plays. They had real plays. The guy read the field, and then he was able to find people that were open, and it made all the difference in the world. I don't think any team had any better athletes than any other team, but they were by far the most organized, and I thought that made all the difference.
Yeah, they were throwing balls down the field, making plays, not just little swing passes and making people miss. Orange Fire Department started off pretty hot, and I thought they had a chance in that first game against the RTFC, and they had a few drop passes. But guys playing different positions. Aaron Long was catching balls deep down the field, and Donnie Gravitt was playing quarterback and was doing a good job making people miss. And they just couldn't make plays at the end there to stay in it. But I thought they played really well. And then the Beaumont Police Department.
Well, the best player of the Beaumont Police Department went down really early.
He did. He took a dive. He was trying to make a play and got his foot stuck in the ground and just rolled over on it, and that ended all chances for Beaumont Police Department when you went down.
Yeah,
that ended
all chances. In all fairness, that was me, and I don't think I ruined anyone's chances. I think that their chances probably improved after I left the game and limped my slow fan ass off the field.
Well, but y'all end up winning that second game against the Orange Fire in a monsoon. The first half it was pouring down rain for some reason, and then it stopped, and y'all end up pulling that game out late. And Casey Nonet at quarterback. If you have a quarterback, like if you just had a picture or a frame, like a frame of a quarterback, he is it. He looks like he plays the part perfect. He throws the ball so hard sometimes, though. And it makes it hard for everyone.
Casey's great.
He looks like the perfect quarterback, though.
Casey can throw the ball really well. The problem comes in catching the ball and pulling flags, which is, I think, a lot of the problems for the other teams. Donnie threw the ball well, and Peavy threw the ball really well. Now, the difference, though, was Peavy's team, I think, practiced more than the other teams, and they could catch the ball, and they could pull flags a lot better than the other two teams, and I think that's what made all the difference.
It was I liked seeing Daniel Norsworthy out there calling defenses and getting everybody on defense in position. He was telling everybody where to go, where to be before each play. It was fun watching him do that because he's one of our veteran league players out there as well. But he was just setting everybody up, and it was fun to see that.
Yeah, it was really good. Well, I enjoyed it. So RTFC won. They did a great job. We love those guys. And just a shout out to Gulf Credit Union for sponsoring the thing. We really, really appreciate them. We couldn't have had such a nice field and been able to play at the high school without Gulf Credit Union's help. So we really appreciate Gulf Credit Union. and Holly Hebert. Holly, if you're listening, which I doubt you are because you probably have a life, we really appreciate you. You're awesome. Thank you so much for all that you do. And also the 100 Club of Southeast Texas. We love what you guys do. We are happy to donate money to you. And I really appreciate everybody that participated and made it a day. So thank you all very much.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay, well, good.
So white Lake and Sajay has to flip. I found mine, so find your own companionship.
Every time I see you in the world, you always step to my girl. That's yourself, homeboy. Why is that?
Brothers get jealous when I'm chilling with my dip. Just because she's fly,
All right.
you try to play me like Milton Brandy.
Second
I'm mad, G.
segment
Just
of
because
Amateur
you
Hour.
wanna
We have a
say
special
what
guest here, one of the Hall of Fame members. My father, Bubba Courts, is going to do his top 3 as well. So this will actually be the top 3 according to me, and me. So all right, Troy and Dad. The first team we'll do is the Bears. So I'll do mine first. My first pick for the Bears is Sid Luckman. Yeah, that's right, Sid Luckman. He played from 1939 to 1950. The man had 4 NFL championships, played with no face mask, and he wore number 42 as a quarterback, which is pretty badass. Also, as you can remember from the previous podcast, I talked about Sammy Baugh and how excellent he was, and Luckman defeated Sammy Baugh 73-0 in 1940 when Luckman passed for 102 yards on 4 completions. So
He was a stat compiler
Sid Luckman could throw the ball like me.
for tens of yards.
So Sid Luckman got dozens of yards a year. So the next player I have on my Bears list is Walter Payton. I cried when he died when I watched his funeral like a child. You know, if you just watch him play, you can see how awesome Walter Payton was. He's literally my favorite player of all time. I like how he held the ball. I liked what he was a great guy. You know, as a person, he was flawed. He was an adulterer. He used drugs after his career, a lot of painkillers, and I'm sure he suffered some sort of mental illness because of all his problems. But he was a wonderful person, and they had the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, for a good reason. So I love Walter Payton. And then the third guy on my list is Dick Butkus, not Den Budness. He was a giant baby, born 13 pounds 6 ounces. That's what I have to say about there, Dick Butkus. Most of that was Dick Butkus.
Dick and Butkus.
Yeah. So one of the quotes I found was Deacon Jones said, "Dick was an animal. I called him a maniac, a stone maniac. He was a well-conditioned animal, and every time he hit you, he tried to put you in the cemetery, not the hospital." So that's what I have there for the Bears. So Troy, go ahead with your Bears things.
All right, I've got 3, and I had to. This was a little tougher. I had a little honorable mention on this one as well that I had on a few of them. So because I don't seem to narrow it down to 3 a lot.
Yeah,
I don't
you
follow
suck.
the rules very well. My number 1 was Gale Sayers, running back in the 60s. Only played 7 seasons, retired early, was a 5-time All-Pro, and was one of the best runners. One of the first people I remember actually watching old films and watching him run, and it was just fun to watch him run by all these guys. Of course, back then the tackling was pretty poor, but you still have to be pretty athletic to make all those moves and cuts and runs and everything.
So was the cancer care from Brian's song.
I'm tearing up now, but I remember.
I'm just trying to be accurate. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, he one of my favorite players of all time, so that's why I have him number 1. Number 2, Walter Payton. You mentioned him. Sweetness. He was the all-time leading rusher until Emmitt Smith broke that. So I guess he had that record for some 20 years or something like that. So that was you have a record like that, you have to be in your team's all-time top 3. Number 3 that I had, this came down between 2 guys. You mentioned Dick Butkus. I put him as my honorable mention. He was one of the toughest players and just the dirtiest, nastiest guys. Of course, you don't remember any of it. You just see those old films. But Brian Urlacher, a guy who was a return guy in college. He was a running back, a receiver, and he goes to the NFL, becomes a middle linebacker, and is one of the led their team, a bad Bears team to a Super Bowl as one of the best defensive players in the league for many years. And so I would consider him my number 3 as in my top 3 of Chicago Bears players.
Well, all right then. All right, Dad, the floor is yours. Here's the mic.
I like Mike Singletary. He came from Baylor. That's really about all I know about him.
Okay.
No, actually, the crazy eyes and everything, and he didn't even think he'd start in the NFL, and look where he turned out, Hall of Famer. And personal favorite is Jim McMahon. Crazy. Showed up first day of practice drinking a beer. You'd probably like him, Cody. And then, Walter Payton. What more can you say about him? I cried at the same couch he cried on when, we watched his funeral, and, kind of crying now. So let's go to the next team.
Well, one thing I thought about with the Bears was they've only had like 2 or 3 real good teams ever, but they had so many characters. It was really fun to kind of research and just look at these guys, because there was a bunch of them. Richard Dent, guys from those defensive, those defensive players from those teams.
It's sort of disappointing that Rex Grossman is missing from this list. Because Sexy Rexy defined the Bears.
He was the first guy I looked at, and then I realized,
Yeah,
he's not top 3.
Jay Cutler, Sexy Rexy.
Not top 3. Yeah.
That other guy.
That other guy that did stuff on.
Nobody mentioned
All right.
Ditka.
Ditka, Mike
he's
Ditka.
He was a Hall of
Mike
Fame
Ditka.
tight end, but I think he's still known more for coaching than playing. But even though he's a Hall of Fame tight end,
Character of character.
yeah, it was fun to actually.
Wilbur Marshall.
Yeah, this was a very fun.
Wilbur Marshall, that guy that sold me a lawnmower one time. Wilbur Marshall.
Oh, I thought he sold the Crown Vic.
Wilbur Marshall.
Wilbur Marshall sold me that 1988 Crown Vic I wrecked.
I actually know a man that played with Wilbur Marshall.
No.
Not on the football field. Well, no, he actually played football.
What did they
with
play
him.
then?
I'm just saying,
Played
they were
roles in
close.
an adult movie.
They were kind of close guys. But
Oh wow.
Mickey Washington, you heard of him? Cornerback for Buffalo Bills.
I know.
All right, he played 1 year with him at Washington. He said that Wilbur Marshall said one word throughout camp, maybe 2 words during the season. Had his locker by himself. Nobody talked to him.
Can you tell us what those words were?
I think hi and get out of my way, motherfucker. That was it.
Maybe he was retarded. All right, so the next team on the list here is the Vikings. Troy, I'll let you go ahead and lead off with your top 3 putrid Vikings players.
Here's another one that, as I started looking, I was like, it reminded me of Tecmo Bowl, and I started remembering all these players that I like from playing Tecmo Bowl, and I narrowed it down to 3, but I have 6 names written down. I'm going through all 6 of them. But my top 3 are Randy Moss.
No. Did I say the Vikings?
You said Minnesota.
Oh, balls. All right, go ahead with your friggin' Vikings.
All
Sorry.
right. Number 1, I have Randy Moss. I just don't like Randy Moss, but you cannot deny how great he was as a football player. 8 years in Minnesota, 92 touchdowns. Basically changed the game. He's a verb now. Getting mossed on the field, it's a verb now. It's
Do
something
people say that?
People say that, yeah. It happens. Maybe not as much as it used to, but it's still.
I've never been mossed.
Yeah, you haven't. Number 2 on my list was John Randall. Crazy dude. Somebody you probably wouldn't ever want to be around on the field. 137.5 sacks in his career. And then number 3 was Chris Carter. 14,000 career yards, 130 touchdowns. Hall of Famer. Just one of those guys you think of Minnesota Vikings, you think of Chris Carter. My other ones I had that I put down were Joey Browner, defensive back, 3-time All-Pro, just a hard hitter, fun guy to watch play. Brett Favre was only there 2 seasons, but led him to the NFC title. Probably should have made it to the Super Bowl. And then Randall Cunningham led him to a 15-1 record for the one of the 3 seasons he was there, and I think he's one of the best Minnesota Vikings as well.
Well, there you go. All right, Dad, go ahead with your top 3.
Well, he said John Randall, so I really like him too.
someone that someone's already said.
Oh, well, John Randall, crazy man. Everybody liked him, And I'm winging this, so I don't have any notes.
I don't have notes either. What are you talking about?
Randy Moss. What more can you say about him either? He was probably the top 5 greatest, future Hall of Famer. And as you can tell, he's really not a dumb guy. But you see him on TV now, announcing. He knows his football. And Fran Tarkenton. most scrambling quarterback I've ever seen. I actually got to see him play. That's how old I am.
Yeah.
5'9", maybe. I mean,
and that was one I left off just because you see him running for his life all the time in videos, but I've heard him as a great quarterback, but I just can't. I just
he
didn't
actually
see
took
it.
him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And nobody's mentioned Adrian Peterson. I mean,
Probably the most dominant back in his time.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Top 5 back ever play, easily. Top 3, probably. That's all I got to say. Here you go.
Okay. All right, so my top 3 are... Number 1, I have Fran Tarkington. Now, Fran was born February 3rd, which makes him an Aquarius. Now, the positive qualities of an Aquarius are they have truthfulness, they're just, curious, affectionate, they have good personalities, they're frank and imaginative, but the negative qualities of an Aquarius are that they are unpredictable, detached, tendency to go off track, and tendency to be inefficient. Possible health concerns are the Aquarius may be they need to be very careful of addiction. Well, as it turns out to me that Fran Tarkington was most addicted to making Pro Bowls because he made 9 of them, and also addicted to passing for touchdowns because he passed for over 300 touchdowns and he rushed for 32 more. So that's why I think Fran Tarkington belongs on the list. Also, there's this little man named Randy Moss who had the best throw I've ever seen. Even better than mine that one time. He's literally the only reason I ever watched the Vikings whenever he played for them, because I thought he made awesome plays, and he made Dante Culpepper actually look like a quarterback. Most of the time, quarterbacks make receivers like Tom Brady does for almost everyone he's ever played with, but Moss made quarterbacks look better than they actually were. So I think a very, very few number of receivers can do that, and he made Dante Culpepper look like not such a craphead. Craphead, yes. Chris Carter's my third guy because for me, Chris Carter is sort of like a Big Mac is to McDonald's, just as Chris Carter is to the Vikings. So, when I hear that name, I think of the Vikings. He's the only athlete that I can ever remember that whored himself to Athlete's Foot, because everyone else whored themselves to Foot Locker or Nike. I can remember Chris Carter saying, athletes get their shoes from Athlete's Foot or something like that. So that's those are my 3 people, and also he only catches touchdowns and all that fun stuff. Yes. So those are my 3 Vikings. Next up, we're gonna do the Lions, and Dan, I'll let you start us off with the Lions.
Well, Chris Spillman. I mean, a lot of people don't know him. A lot of people do. He announces college football nowadays. He was just a great, dominant linebacker and didn't get a lot of credit because he played for the Lions. Barry Sanders. I mean, come on. Everybody knows about Barry Sanders. What, 9? You're a stat guy. 9 1,000-yard seasons in a row?
For the yardage he had in his career, that sounds about right, yes.
And then the last line was their mascot. I really like that guy. I mean, the things he had to go through being a Lion mascot. His name was Timmy Smith.
He just roared, didn't he?
He did. He was exciting. And I just drew a blank on Lions. So, let's see.
Well, that's about it. In Lions history, the 2 is about it that make the top 3.
Let's go with Gary Daniels.
Quarterback?
He was a quarterback.
Okay.
All
right.
What's their quarterback today?
Matthew Stafford.
We're not going to put him on there. I knew that.
What about Calvin Johnson?
Oh, Megatron. We're going to go Megatron. We're going to put Megatron on there. And you know what? He might come back. Not as himself. He's going to come back as somebody else.
As Megatron?
No, he's going
as Megatron?
He's going to come back as somebody Mark Wahlberg's going to play in the movie.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
Hey, your turn, man.
Okay, my Detroit Lions, you hit 2 of them. Barry Sanders, 15,000 rushing yards. He ended his career short and probably would be the leading rusher of all time. The most fun player to watch ever play football. It was just so fun to watch him hit holes and not hit holes and run backwards for 10 yards and then just outrun people. Yeah, he was just so fun to watch. He was my favorite player. I tried to play like that when I was in Little League. I always wanted to run like him. So well, good. Something came across then. But he was my favorite player to watch, and still is considered probably the best running back of all time. My number 2 is Bobby Lane, still the most successful quarterback in Detroit Lions history, and he played in the 50s. So he led them to back-to-back NFL titles in 52 and 53. And then my number 3, you mentioned Chris Spielman, just a leader, a linebacker who didn't get a lot of notoriety or respect because he played for the Lions and they weren't very good. But
I like to see his stats.
Yeah.
He was dominant.
yeah, he was just a guy that was solid, made all of his, made tackles. You see him always making tackles, and just a leader on that team, and just a guy you see his face. Think that's a football player right there. So.
Oh man. And his wife did die of breast cancer, by the way.
Well, I should move him up on the list.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go. Is that your third one?
That was my 3, Cody.
Okay. All right. My 3 are. You know what? I'm going to say the best one for last. My 3 are Barry Sanders, and my notes for Barry Sanders say, do I really need to go into this? Because I'm pretty sure that everyone understands how wonderful he was.
Yes.
Also, Calvin Johnson, and my thing with him is you just have to see him play to understand how good he was. And he can still play right now. He had over 11,000 receiving yards and 83 touchdowns in less than 10 years. He was just amazing to watch. I really enjoyed watching Calvin Johnson. All right, so my third one was one that you named, Troy, Bobby Lane. He played for the Lions in the 50s, of course, won their championships. And my favorite thing that I found about him, though, was his quote, because apparently Bobby Lane was some sort of alcoholic after he retired. And he said, "My only request is that I draw my last dollar and my last breath at precisely the same instant." So,
I like
that
it.
is a person that I can get along with,
I like
and
it.
I would really enjoy. So, okay.
Good, man. I like it.
The next team on our list is the Packers. And you know what? I'll go first on the Packers. I haven't gone first yet, right?
Go first.
Yeah, all right, I'll go first. All right, so my Packers are 3 quarterbacks. First one is Bart Starr. I just have 3 little things for him. Ice Bowl, multiple championships. Dude's got an awesome name. That is one of the best names ever. You can't name someone Bart Starr and expect him not to do cool stuff. Brett Favre, he reminds me of my childhood, both because he was awesome then, and I loved watching him play. And I was just as fascinated with my wiener at 12 years old as he was as an adult.
He was fascinated with your wiener?
No, his own wiener.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Those sexting
I
pictures.
Got you. I got you now. I'm on the same page.
No, Brett Favre never saw my wiener.
Okay, well, that's what it sounded
Especially at 12.
like.
Okay.
Yes. What's going on, Father? What is going on?
All right. Anyway, so the third one I have on the list is Aaron Rodgers, and he does things that I don't believe anybody else could do, both dead and alive, to include Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha. Now, in all fairness, Christ was more of a running back, more of a svelte, kind of scat back, and Muhammad, I think, was a defensive player. He mostly played linebacker and stuff like that.
Blow people up.
Muhammad could blow people up. That's pretty good, Dad.
Hey.
All right, and
We have a
and the
song
Buddha was obviously the right guard of whatever team he played for.
Yes.
So there you go. There's my religious comparison to Aaron Rodgers and whatever else that will get people to not like anything we ever do. So, all right, Dad, go ahead, your turn.
I'm going to go from the 60s. Paul Hornung. He was the running back for Bart Starr. Ran a lot of sweeps. Really slow. Guy like that made you think anybody could play. Brett Favre. You said everything about Brett Favre. I kind of, I've seen the pictures of his wiener, and it's a close race between you at 12 and him.
Am I the only one in this room that hasn't seen his wiener?
We'll show it to you. Show him his wiener.
Can't wait.
You hadn't seen Brett's wiener or Cody's wiener?
Both.
Yeah, right. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, a lot of people don't like him because he probably comes off as arrogant, but I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever live, easily. I mean, the things he did against the Cowboys last year should be outlawed. I mean, he's just that good. You got Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, best two ever. And that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, my three, of course, start with Brett Favre, all-time yardage leader, 72,000 passing yards, and all-time touchdown leader, 508 touchdowns. Just you can't be better than that. He was the ultimate gunslinger. It was fun to. Yeah, he was a guy that would go off script so much and just throw the ball on the run, running the wrong way, underhanded, left-handed. He would just do whatever just to get the ball to a guy, and he would take chances. He would throw. He's got the most interceptions too for a reason too, because he took so many chances. But he was a guy that you're gonna go make, trust to make a play when you need him to, and he would always do that. It was really fun to just watch him play.
Tony Romo's hero.
Well, see.
Yeah, Tony Romo's hero. Yeah.
My number two was a guy that didn't play very long, got hurt. Sterling Sharp, receiver during the Brett Favre era, 5-time All-Pro, only one of 7 receivers to lead the league in yardage, touchdowns, and catches in the same season. And had a neck injury and ended his career, and probably would be one of the best receivers ever if he wouldn't have had a shortened career.
Would have been a Hall of Famer.
Would have been a Hall of Famer, definitely. And then my number 3 was Aaron Rodgers, just because he has so much arm talent. He can throw from any slot that he can. He's got the best footwork of any quarterback, I think, just because he can move so fast and get in and out of trouble better than anybody. He's kind of an a-hole, and I guess that kind of leans my way, which I like those kind of guys. So he's pretty damn good. And then I had an honorable mention, Bart Starr, just because he's the original quarterback, the championship quarterback for the team, and Cody touched on all those fun points about Bart Starr. So
I touched a lot of things.
You touched a lot of Bart Starr points.
I always touch Bart Starr points. All right, so the next doodad here. Let's see, we've done the. Oh, is that all of them? Are you kidding me?
We did 4.
Oh, well, all right then. Well, do y'all have anything else? Anything else you want to say?
Bubba, congratulations on being inducted into the SETX FFL Hall of Fame. It's we put a lot of thought and effort into it, and I'm proud that you're a Hall of Famer.
I appreciate it, man, and I really enjoyed playing all the years with you, and also you, Cody. And no, it was the most fun I ever had in my life. I'm one of them guys that didn't get to play in high school, and I played actually at my height. Naturally I played basketball, and I just always loved football. My parents wouldn't let me play. I was always about 115 pounds in school, so it was the most fun I ever had, man. It's competitive, loved it, and I always think I'm going to come back, even though I probably never will.
We'll have to take away your Hall of Fame credentials then if you come back.
No. Thank y'all, though.
Well, Dad, you're going to have to come back at least one time so you can play with Colin and me for a couple of plays in a few years, so that we can all be together on the field. So, all right, well,
and so I can yell at each of you individually when something happens.
Yeah, Troy needs to make his wrath feel for everyone. All right, so stick around for the next segment, and we'll talk about the next league to come. And thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
I had me a boy, turned him into a man. I showed him all the things that he didn't understand. Whoa. Then I let him go. Now there's one in California who's been cursing my name, 'cause I found me a better lover in the UK. Hey, until I made my getaway.
So the league, the 3rd annual SETX FFL League, is starting September 24th. So, Troy, what do you think about all that?
Well, I'm just excited to have the league going again. I like the league a lot more than tournaments, because tournaments just wear you out playing a bunch of games in a weekend, and I feel like you just get better, continuity with your team as you play throughout the season, and it just makes it seem like more of a full event when you have 10 weeks in playoffs, and it builds up to something. And I like the leagues. I think we have some really good teams as well. And it's just fun to see everybody come out each week and really care about the league and want to play and put time and effort into it each week. So I really enjoy it, especially the fall, because it's football season and you just have all that intensity the whole way around.
Well, yeah, it's a lot more fun to me to play in the league than it is in a tournament because it's an ongoing thing. So, what we want people to do is, if you want to play, sign up. If you don't have a team, send us a message. We'll find you a team. Maybe we'll even make a new team out of you. It's going to start on September 24th and probably go for around 9 or 10 weeks. Then we'll crown champion and go on from there. So if anybody wants to play, just send us a message, call me, do whatever you're going to need to do. We got it going on. So it's going to be a really fun time. We just want to... am I like going over and over again?
We got it going on.
Did I say it several times?
Oh, this is funny. We got it going on. This is
Oh, we got it
you know
going
what that
on.
means?
You know what, fellas? If you want to, call me. If you don't want to call me, don't call me. But send me a message on Facebook if you want to play. So, yeah, we'll have the league going.
If you have anyone that wants to film or take pictures for the website or the Facebook pages, let us know. We want people to come out. They want people want to serve food, sell food. We have all these different options that anyone can do. So let us know. Send us a message. We'd love to have people come out and enjoy the league as well.
Yeah, anything you do, if you want to tag us on Facebook or Twitter, we would love it. We'll put it on there, and we really, really appreciate all of your support and everyone's enthusiasm on playing flag football. So, y'all have a wonderful day, and stay tuned for the next segment. All right, we're back with the bonus segment of Amateur Hour, and Troy's going to take some more phone calls because last week went so well.
I just can't believe that so many people are calling in. I mean,
They
look at this.
they time it perfectly. They call in 2.5 days before we're ever going to release the thing. It's really amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
But I had the first phone call on the line. Are you ready?
If it's anything like last week, this is going to be fun.
Okay, so, all right, caller, I think it's Tommy, you're on the line. Yes, this is Tommy. This is Tommy with an I. And I just had a couple of questions about the safety of your little leak there. So, what do you have to say? Well, Tommy, let me get you to Troy. He's, I think he would answer this better. So, Troy, do you want to hear from Tommy?
Sure, Tommy with an I, is
Well,
it?
yes, it's Tommy with an I, and I just wanted to know, so when you have these players that are participants, I would like to say, if you have these participants that are going to play in your little league, do they have to take any tests before they start to play? Because I don't want it to be too dangerous. It's all about safety for me.
Well, Tommy, there are no tests that anyone that is able to move around can play in our league. It doesn't matter how old you can at least be 16 years old to play, but it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be at any fitness level. You can play in our league.
I guess it's not about the movements for me. It's more about how contagious someone is, I guess. So I'm wondering if there are the the tests for stuff that could spread.
We do not test anything like that, Tommy with an I, but what we always encourage the healthiest of people to come out and play.
Okay, so I'm sorry, what sort of football is this?
This is 8-man versus 8-man flag football. Pulling the flags.
Okay. So this is flag football.
Flag football, yes, sir.
Oh, I'm really sorry. This is not the sort of thing I was into. I didn't know it was flag football. So, all right. Well, I'll go. I'm sorry to waste your time. Toodles.
Thank you, Tommy.
Oh man, I don't think he understood what we were doing.
I think he had.
I think he had a
few
different thing in
letters
mind. Yeah.
missing there. Yeah, it was.
All right. Yeah, it was weird. All right. Well, I got another one there for you. So
Let's take line 2. Yes.
okay, line 2. Line 2 is this person's name. This woman's name is Marjorie. So, all right, go ahead, Marjorie. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Marjorie.
Hello.
Marjorie.
Is this the Country Basket Cafe?
No.
I would like 2 fish fillets and an order of hush puppies. 2 fish fillets and hush puppies, please. Hello.
Cody, do you want to talk to this lady? I think she's got the wrong
Hello,
number.
Marjorie. Marjorie, this isn't a restaurant. Well, this is the number that I found for Country Basket Buffet. Well, I understand, Marjorie, but this is just a call-in line for our podcast. I'm sorry that. Well, I need 2 fish fillets and hush puppies. I would like that first gentleman to speak with me more than you because you sound very rude. Hello?
Miss Marjorie?
Yes?
Would you like for me to go get you some
You
fish?
sound like a little blonde son of a bitch.
Oh, well.
Oh,
that's
I think she hung up.
nice.
Dude, she hung up. Well, Marjorie was not nearly as nice as she seemed.
I was actually going to go get her some fish.
Oh, well.
She
She didn't make it. So, all right, well, you know what?
I wonder if she's related to Bill.
She might be. That might be Bill's mother.
Oh.
All right, so we're one more.
I'm afraid to take more phone
We'll try one more, and he's got a call. He says it's about the flag football last weekend with the police officers. So we'll listen to his call.